Well, obviously we're really disappointed. Credit to Indiana, they did a really good job executing in really key situations, and we got to keep learning. And you know, I give them a lot of credit for the way they executed. I love these young women, and like I think I said out there, that our theme for the year is expectant, and now is when that's really tested. So when it doesn't go our way and when we're really disappointed, can we still fight for that expectancy? Can we still fight for that edge? Can we still have the leadership and belief from within? And I really believe that we will. Obviously, right now, we're not good enough on some key areas. And to be honest with you, we talked about in the locker room, we're not quite, and when adversity happens, we're not gritty enough. And I thought that Indiana was the grittier team today, and that's something we're going to have to learn. The great thing about that is that we can grow into that. So we're disappointed, we're frustrated, we're fill in the blanks, but the two constants are that I am relentlessly believing for this team, and I'm relentlessly holding the standard of what I think they can become. And that will not change, and it starts with me, and I can guarantee you that we will continue to get better, and we will fight like crazy.
I don't know, it's just really it's just really upsetting, because we talk about all the time just protecting our home court, like no one can beat us here, we're unstoppable. But Coach Corey said it, we just got, like, they just had more effort, they had more fight, they were dirtier, they wanted it more, so we just have to get better in practice. And it starts with us, not only the coaches, but it starts with us. We have to make the decision just to get better every day and just being consistent through everything, so. I would just say the same thing. It just hurts to lose. No one likes losing, and I know I hate it the most. So we just got to figure out a way and just to grow over the next week and get ready for the next opponent.
This is for anyone who'd like to respond. This is your second one-possession loss to an undefeated team. How do you handle the pressure of a close game, and what will you do in practice to fully carry out the future of the close matchups?
Well, you go ahead. If you
no, it's fine. Go ahead. It's fine.
No, I just think that's, you know, it's up to the coaching staff to provide the plans. I would argue that it didn't come down to the last minute. It came down to the 7-minute second quarter run where we went up 10 to down 7. So to be honest with you, we're learning a ton, and we're making some really good plays in in-game situations. KB did a great job getting to the free throw line. I thought there were some questionable calls made down the stretch, but that didn't determine the game. I think all those close games actually only prepare us. I don't think there's any downside to that. Where the downside is that we continue to let this happen in the second quarter. That's what we have to address. And we'll continue to learn from every single situation. They ran our play against us to get the 3 in the corner when they went up 1, and we'll learn that. Those are the ones that are the easy fixes, to be honest with you. They'll have their attention, but you know, it's how do we get to that point where we know our jobs and we do our jobs with the things under our control no matter what. No, I wish. I'm not gonna elaborate. I think that what I'm saying is that it doesn't really matter. Even if I thought there were some questionable calls, it didn't come down to that. And the reality is that I will never. You know, officials have a hard job. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. So, no, I won't elaborate further. Yeah, well, they're a much better three-point shooting team than we are over the course of the year, and they only took how many? 13, right? So that needs to tell our team something. You know, they hunted for the shots, even though they're better at those than we are. I think that's where their maturity comes in. I really thought that 14, Allie, the transfer, the point guard for them, just does an excellent job facilitating getting their players easier shots. And that's what we have to do, is we have to let our teamwork create easier opportunities. And we're open for a reason right now. That's the game plan, right? So that's what we talked about at halftime, is that if the ball gets to the paint and it gets kicked out, we're going to shoot the ball. I don't want our players playing scared or anything like that. But where the disappointment came is the ones where early in the shot clock we step behind the ball screen and settle for the three-point shot. We should have probably taken, 8 or 9, or that in that first half as opposed to 14. 7 or 8 maybe, but when we got, because I thought Japrice was doing a really good job getting 2 feet in the paint off of the penetration, and you're not going to get a better shot. Your feet are around, and we're in rebounding position, and we've collapsed the defense, but we just have got to do a better job. We got to know who we are. And I think that's the problem, is that we're not clear enough on who we are and confident enough on what we can do and make them stop that, as opposed to, oh, crud, they're backing off and they're in the paint. And, well, then let's be better at what we do. And really, on the offensive end, it's deceiving. The reason we were having trouble on the offensive end is because we kept having to take the ball out of the net on the defensive end. And when we were able to run in transition, they weren't able to get to the paint and do that. But you have to get stops in order to play that way. And there's a period of time where, I know that they went on 2 6-0 runs. One was an 8-0 run. The other one was a 6-0 run. And those are the ones that make it really hard to score.
Coach mentioned it before. It starts with our defense, because I think when we play good defense, it leads to a great offense. So I think that's where it starts, just having more pride on defense, knowing personnel for the other team, and just also knowing our strengths as well. So. It was unintentional. I felt like I did my routine in my head. I had a perfect follow through. I just felt like I just pushed it a little too hard. So things like that happens, but I'm gonna learn from it and get better in practice. So.
This is for both Kennedy and Japrice. What would you say, both individually and as a team, you're gonna work on the most over practice to work for next Friday's game against Fresno State?
For me, I would say just my communication.
For me, I would just say just leading and holding people accountable and holding myself accountable, and just figuring out the game plan and trying to execute it, and just trying to, in practice, just emphasize different things that will happen on the court.
You guys came out really strong in the first quarter, and even in the beginning of the second quarter, with a 3 from Lindsay and a 3-point play from Kennedy. But a long run from the leaders pushed you guys and addressed it all for the final 5 minutes of the second quarter. Is this fatigue, or do you guys think that you lost, or how do you think that you lost momentum?
Well, I think I referred to it earlier in the fact that I think it's a mentality. And I don't think both teams were physically tired. It was the team that could be mentally more focused and that could lead to their strengths despite their adversity. There was no media timeout, and they responded to playing to their strengths, and we didn't. We acquiesced, and we lost track of our game plan. So I think it was mental fatigue more than physical fatigue, and that's what I was talking about earlier, that we have to get ourselves, we call it to the edge. In practice, the edge is when your talent runs out and when you have to rely on your discipline and your skill that you've developed in difficult situations. And we got to learn to get to the edge in practice consistently when it's really uncomfortable, and learn how to have that grit and concentration and mental focus on what we do, even when it's really hard, even when you don't get rewarded, even when you're tired. It's mental focus. It's mental fatigue that we have to avoid, not physical.